Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Greek ebook before it's gone.
Hi everybody, I'm Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alphabito. Over the next 15 lessons, you'll learn everything there is to know about the reading and writing of modern Greek. By the end, you'll be able to read pretty much anything you like from a Greek book, newspaper, magazine, or website. Are you ready? Then let's start. Πάμε! Modern Greek has only one alphabet of 24 letters, so it's super easy. Once you know this in their upper and lower case and a few combinations, you will be ready to read one of the most ancient languages in the world. As you may know, the Greek writing system is written from left to right, like all Western languages. This means there is one less difficulty in learning how to write Greek. But it gets better. More than half of the Greek uppercase letters are exactly the same as English. Yes, that's right. You're already over halfway done with uppercase letters. Only 10 more to learn. So let's start with the first letter, alpha. Alpha is a vowel and also the first letter of the Greek alphabet. What sound does it make? In Greek, the name of each letter begins with its own sound. This means the sound of alpha is a, as in I am. In Greek, like English, there are always two ways to write a letter, the uppercase and the lowercase. This is the uppercase alpha. Yep, it's the same as the English A. Let's handwrite it. Alpha. And here's the lowercase alpha. This is a little different from English, but you can see the similarities, right? It is handwritten like this. Alpha. Let's do it again. Uppercase and lowercase. You can now write your first letter in Greek. Good! Let's move on. The second letter is a consonant, mi. You might have heard it called mu, but it's not how we say it in Greek. It's mi. The sound of mi is and it looks like m in English, at least in the uppercase form. It is handwritten like this. Mi. And this is the lowercase mi. It's like an English lowercase u, but with a longer line attached to its left. Not that hard, is it? It is handwritten like this. Mi. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. You now know two Greek letters. What can you do with them? By themselves, they form the word ma, which is one way to say but in Greek. For example, in the sentence, ma δεν το ήξερα, which means but I didn't know. So you already have made the first step in making excuses in Greek. Let's write it. Ma. Another thing we can write with alpha and mi is ama, which is one way to say if, as in the expression ama μπορώ, which means if I can. Let's write this too. Ama. The third thing that we can do with ma is to double it, mama, which, as you might have guessed, is the first word most children all over the world learn, mother, or to be more accurate, mom. Mi, alpha, mi, alpha. Not that hard, right? Let's write it. Mama. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. Have you been writing as you watch? Hope so. There's no better way to master the alphabet fast than to write the letters yourself. Another good idea is to make flashcards for each letter and study them whenever you get a chance. That's it for now! Do you know what the simplest question in Greek is? After the next lesson, you will know both what it is and how to write it. See you in the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. In our previous lesson, we learned two letters, alpha and mi. Remember them? Good! In this lesson, we'll move on to two more letters, see how they are written, and what we can do with them. Our first letter this time is taf. It's a consonant, and its sound is t. You may have heard it called tau, which is its usual name in English. I'm sure its uppercase form will seem very familiar since it's the same as the English T. This is what taf looks like in uppercase and lowercase. Taf. Taf. Here is taf in uppercase. You should already be an expert at this shape. It is handwritten like this. Taf. And this is what the lowercase taf looks like when it's printed. I think it's easier than the lowercase t in English since it's just an uppercase t but smaller. When it is handwritten, the shape looks a little different, like this. Taf. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form, and here's the lowercase form. Did you get it? I'm sure you already knew how to write this, didn't you? Let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. This is a vowel that you may have heard called iota. In Greek, though, it is called Iota, and it makes the sound E. Again, this will look very familiar since its appearance is the same as the English I. This is what the uppercase Iota looks like. As I said before, it's exactly the same as the English I. It is handwritten like this. Iota. And this is what the lowercase iota looks like. Iota. Notice how the bottom curves slightly when it's handwritten. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form, and here's the lowercase form. All these were pretty easy, weren't they? Let's see what we can do with them. By themselves, taf and iota spell only one word in Greek, ti. Even though it's a very small word, it's very important and used all the time in Greek because it means what. For example, the first word in the question, τι ώρα είναι, which means what time is it? Other examples of its use are τι θα φάμε or what will we eat? This word is also used in τι κάνεις, which means how are you? So let's write this very important two-letter word, τι. Since these were super easy, let's try something using all four letters we know. Do you remember the first two? They were alpha and mi, right? Let's say them once again. And if we put these two together with taf and iota, what do we have? Mati, which means eye. Easy, huh? And if we add another alpha in the end, we get matya, which is the plural of eye, eyes. Let's write this together. Matya. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. As we said in our previous lesson, the best way to master the alphabito, the Greek alphabet, is by writing it as much as you can. So please don't neglect this. Another great help would be to start trying to recognize the letters you've learned so far in Greek texts. If you can't find any text, you can always check out the transcripts on GreekPod101.com's advanced audio blog lessons. Don't worry if you can't understand the words yet, you will be able to practice recognizing the letters you learn in here. That's it for this lesson. Do you know how to write OK in Greek? Check our next lesson and see for yourselves. It won't be difficult. See you in the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. In our previous 2 lessons, we covered 4 letters, alpha, mi, taf, and iota. Have you been practicing them? Today we'll learn 2 more. After this, we will have covered a quarter of the Greek alphabet. So let's go! Our first letter this time is again a consonant, Kappa. Its sound is k, and it looks like this. Here's an uppercase kappa. Yes, it's the same as the English K. It is handwritten like this, Kappa. And this is what the lowercase kappa looks like. Like taf, it's easier than the lowercase English K since it's an uppercase K, but smaller. It is handwritten like this, Kappa. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. This is a vowel called Omicron, which makes the sound O. Again, this will look very familiar since its appearance is the same as the English O, both in uppercase and lowercase. This is what the uppercase Omicron looks like, exactly the same as the English O. It is handwritten like this, Omicron. And this is what the lowercase Omicron looks like. Nothing to remember, right? It is handwritten like this, Omicron. Let's do that again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Is there something we could do with just Kappa and Omicron? Not much besides the all too familiar OK. Yes, Greeks use that too, especially in internet communication. You just write the 2 letters together as you would in English, and also like English, it's better to write them in uppercase. Let's write it together, shall we? OK. OK is, well, OK. But let's try a word that uses letters from all the past lessons. Kati, which means something. For example, in the sentence Θέλω να φάω κάτι, meaning I want to eat something. Let's write this word together. Κάτι. Another word also useful in everyday communication is the word κομμάτι, meaning piece, as in θέλω ένα κομμάτι πίτα. I want a piece of pie. Let's write κομμάτι using all the letters we have learned by now. Κομμάτι. As you can see, in κομμάτι, the mi is doubled. This happens for grammatical reasons we explain in our language lessons on GreekPod101.com. You have been studying them too, right? So let's see all the letters we have learned so far. Alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, and omicron. Not that hard, are they? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. You may have noticed that the letters up to this point are not that hard since variations of them appear in the English alphabet. But please remember that the small differences are important. Even though most Greeks will understand a lowercase kappa written just like a lowercase English k, the correct way to write it is with a shorter vertical line. Don't neglect this detail. It will make your Greek writing much more natural. Before I leave you, Here's a question. What is the world's longest number? Everybody knows it by its Greek name, which isn't the name of a dessert. Got it? Check out our next lesson and learn what I'm talking about. See you in the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. In the last 3 lessons, we covered 6 letters: alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, and Omicron, which I'm sure you remember very well since they are almost identical to the English A, M, T, I, K, and O. So this time I thought we could try something a little more challenging. How about 2 letters unique to Greek in appearance? It might sound difficult, but I think you can manage. Our first letter is the consonant P. It sounds exactly the same as the English letter P, but it's written in a different way. Let's have a look at it. Here is what the uppercase P looks like. It is handwritten like this. P. And this is how the lowercase p looks like. It's almost the same as the uppercase P, but you notice that the horizontal line is a little longer. It is handwritten like this. P. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. For anyone who has done math, the lowercase p will seem immediately familiar since it's the famous impossibly long number starting with 3.14. Most English speakers call it pi, but now you know its real name is p. It comes from the first letter of the Greek word peripheria, meaning the circumference of a circle. But enough with math! You're here to learn how to write Greek, right? So let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. It's another consonant, but very important to the writing of the Greek language. In English, it's often called sigma, but in Greek, it's sigma and makes a s sound. Interestingly enough, this letter has 3 forms, 1 in uppercase and 2 in lowercase. It's the only letter with this peculiarity, and this happens because it is often used as a final letter in Greek, which is when you use the third shape. This is what the uppercase sigma looks like. It is handwritten like this. Sigma. And here's the lowercase sigma. It's like an Omicron, but with a small line protruding to the right. It is handwritten like this. Sigma. And this is what the ending sigma looks like. It is similar to the English S, isn't it? It is handwritten like this. Sigma. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. Here's the lowercase form. And here's the ending sigma. Now let's see what we can do with the letters we have learned so far. In our first lesson, we used mi and alpha to write mama, or mom, right? So how about we write the Greek word for dad? With the letters from this lesson, we have everything we need. The word is babas. Let's write it. Babas. If you notice that mi and p together actually sound like b, you were right. In Greek, we don't have a separate letter for the sound b, so we form it using mi and p. This is a little bit complicated, but we'll go over it in detail in the last lesson of this series, which is all about double consonants. Don't worry, if you learn the single letters, double ones won't be a problem, I promise. Is there something more simple we can write with these letters? Well, there is. Actually, something very useful. How about the word poto, meaning drink, as in πάμε για ένα ποτό, or let's go for a drink. Here it is, poto, and it's handwritten like this. Poto. Okay, you've made it through 4 lessons. Let's have a look at all the letters we have learned. Alpha, Mi, Taf, Iota, Kappa, Omicron, Pi, and Sigma. Not bad, huh? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. An alphabet has many letters, but not all letters are created equal. The letters you've learned so far are the most commonly used in Greek. So even though you only know 1/3 of the letters, you'll be able to read a lot more than 1/3 of Greek texts. The end in sigma, in particular, pops up a lot. Try this. Print some text from a Greek website and mark all the ending sigmas red. How many did you count in one page? Up until now, we've seen familiar letters. Are you ready for an exotic-looking one? There is a letter resembling the symbol of the legendary Greek god of the sea, Poseidon. Care to see how it looks? Check out our next Alphavito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphavito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphavito. In our previous lessons, we covered 8 letters of the Greek alphabet. Do you remember them? They were alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, omicron, pi, and sigma, right? Some of these letters were very familiar to English speakers, and a couple of them were new. I'm sure that you didn't have any problem remembering and writing them, so in this lesson we will learn 2 more, one very familiar and one rather exotic. Our first letter is a vowel, Eta, which makes an E sound. Like I said before, the writing will look familiar, at least in the uppercase form, since it's the same as the English H. The uppercase Eta is handwritten like this. Eta. And this is what the lowercase eta looks like. It kind of looks like a lowercase h, but with the vertical line shortened. It is handwritten like this. Eta. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. This character is pretty easy, since the similarities to the English H are big, aren't they? So let's step up the difficulty with our second letter, the strange-looking psi. You may have heard it in English called psi. There is no corresponding sound in English. It makes a ps sound, like P and S said at the same time. Here's the uppercase psi. It looks like the trident, the symbol of the Greek god of the sea, Poseidon, doesn't it? If you ever forget how to pronounce this letter, just remember, psi is for Poseidon and his trident. It is handwritten like this. Psi. And this is what the lowercase psi looks like. It's the same as the uppercase psi, but written lower on the line with the vertical line going below it. It is handwritten like this. Psi. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Did you get it? It's not so hard, right? You just write something like a U and then add a vertical line. We now know 10 letters. That's almost half of the Greek alphabet, and the possibilities for new words increase exponentially with each new letter. Let's try our hand in 3 new words, all using the exotic psi. Let's have a look at them. The first is psito, meaning roast, as in psitokreas or roast meat. Let's write this together. Psito. Not that hard, is it? And speaking of psito, or roast, what do you need to put it in the oven? A tapsi, or pan. Let's write this one. Tapsi. Do you feel up for something a little more complicated? How about the word elegant? In Greek, this is kompsos. And even though writing it isn't that hard, saying it is a little tricky, since you have to combine the m and the ps sounds. For the moment though, let's concentrate on the writing part. Kompsos. One grammatical note. Kompsos is masculine, so you can use it only for masculine nouns. For feminine nouns, it would be kompsi, while for neutral nouns, kompso. Let's do a brief recap of everything we learned so far. We have alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, Omicron, pi, sigma, eta, and psi. Okay? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. You might have noticed that this lesson's eta sounds exactly like the iota we learned in lesson 2. Why is that? Well, it has to do with the complicated history of eta. At first, it is generally believed to be pronounced like a long version of epsilon and sounded like e. After the classical period, however, its sound started to change and merged with iota, as did another letter. Trust me, you don't want me to go on. Just learn them as E, like all Greeks, and you'll be perfectly fine. So, do you want to learn how to write the name of our home planet? In this lesson, you learn how to write half of it. In our next Alphabito Made Easy lesson, you will learn the other half. Don't miss it. Yahara! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. Great job on making it this far! After this lesson, you will have learned half of the Greek alphabet. Yes, in this lesson we will learn our 12th letter. That is 12 out of 24. Let's do a quick review of our previous letters. They were alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, Omicron, pi, sigma, eta, and psi. Have you been practicing them? So I'm sure you have figured out their small quirks and are ready for 2 more. One very similar to English and one unique to Greek. Let's start from the exotic one. It is the consonant gamma, which makes a g sound and might be a little difficult for English speakers since it doesn't have an exact English equivalent. Most people treat it like a G, but it is softer, more like the Y sound in you or young. Here's the uppercase form of gamma. Gamma. And here's the lowercase form of gamma. This might seem a little difficult to remember since there is no similarity between the uppercase and the lowercase form. So all you can do is learn it by heart. It is handwritten like this. Gamma. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Okay, the hard part is over, so let's get to something more familiar. How about the S sound, as in the English them? In Greek, it's represented by the vowel Epsilon. Here is the uppercase version. It is handwritten like this. Epsilon. And this is what the lowercase epsilon looks like. It's not that different than the uppercase epsilon, just more rounded. Sort of like how you would write a backwards 3. It is handwritten like this. Epsilon. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Not that hard, was it? I mean, you already knew the uppercase from English. As for the lowercase, well, it's just a squiggly line, isn't it? Let's use something new and something old to write a short but very important word. It is yi, and it means earth. It's written using today's gamma and lesson 5's eta. Here we go. Yi. This was short, so let's write something longer, like full. In Greek, it's yamatos, and it's written like this. Yamatos. Notice though that this is the masculine form. For the feminine, you should use yamati, and for the neutral, yamato. So let's recap the first half of the Greek alphabet. Alpha, Mi, Taf, Iota, Kappa, Omicron, Pi, Sigma, Eta, Psi, Gamma, and Epsilon. These are all familiar by now, right? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. Like I said in the beginning, we have covered half of the Greek alphabet. This is no small feat, and I hope you feel proud. Even though we're still missing some important letters, the ones we have covered so far are enough to be able to read and write hundreds of Greek words, so please don't neglect your reading and practicing. Furthermore, I'd like to suggest something. Using the letters you know, try to read a Greek text and try to guess the ones you don't. It might sound strange, but it will help your Greek because it will hone your instinct for the language. Besides air, food, and water, there is something else you cannot live without. Can you guess what it is? The answer and the way to write it is in the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson, so don't miss it. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. In the previous 6 lessons, we managed to go through half of the Greek alphabet and even managed to tackle a couple of tricky Greek-only letters like psi and gamma. Do you remember them? Let's move on with 2 more letters which will look familiar but may be a little tricky pronunciation-wise. Our first letter this time is the consonant Ro. Its sound is R and is exactly like the English R. Wouldn't it be nice if the shape looked the same as the English R? Nope. Unfortunately, it looks like an English P. Close, but not close enough. You'll just have to remember to pronounce this letter as an R. Here's the uppercase Ro. It is handwritten like this. Ro. And this is what the lowercase Ro looks like. As you can see, there is no real difference between the uppercase and the lowercase form. It's the same shape, but the lowercase is written lower on the line, with its vertical line extending below it. It is handwritten like this. Ro. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. I would like to point out a very small detail that will make your writing of Ro perfect. Because of its similarity to the English P, you might be tempted to write it in a similar way. First the line and then the circle. It is better, though, to learn to write it the correct way, as a continuing line starting from the circle and going on to the line. Let's move on to our second letter for this lesson, which, like Ro, looks familiar but sounds different. Its name is He. It is also a consonant, and its sound is h. All this is wonderful, except for the part where it looks like an X. This is what the uppercase he looks like. It is handwritten like this. He. And this is what the lowercase he looks like. Again, same shape, but extending below the line. Actually, the line cuts it in half. It is handwritten like this. He. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. As you know, the only problem you might have with these letters are their similarity to other English letters. This may tempt you to write or read it that way. But there's only 3 ways to prevent this from happening. Practice, practice, practice. Since these 2 letters are both consonants, there isn't much we can do with them, so we will use some help from letters we learned in the previous lesson. Thankfully, we now have plenty of those. How about starting with something that we all use every day after air, water, and food? It's χρήματα, or money, and we write it like this. Χρήματα. This was easy. Now how about the most common Greek female name? You might have heard its Italian and Spanish version, Maria, and it's exactly the same in Greek. Maria. That will be it for this lesson. Just to make sure you haven't forgotten them, let's go through all the letters you know once again. They are alpha, mi, taf, Iota, Kappa, Omicron, Pi, Sigma, Eta, Psi, Gamma, Epsilon, Rho, and Chi. Got them all? Awesome! Now it's time for Stefania's insights. These days, with computers and cell phones, we rarely have the occasion to really write, which is all fine and dandy, but it makes us forget one of the most basic skills. So please, even if you have access to a Greek keyboard, don't neglect actually writing by hand. This is what will make you really capable of writing Greek. I guarantee that you will learn it much faster and better if you do write. So until the next lesson, practice your writing as much as you can. Did you know that there is one Greek letter whose name sounds like a part of your body? This letter also appears in the English alphabet, but with a different name. Do you want to know what it is? Check the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson and find out. See you there! Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. This lesson is also a landmark. After you finish it, you will have covered more than half of this series and 2/3 of the Greek alphabet. What do you think of Greek letters now? Do they seem as hard as they did when you started? You know quite a lot by now, so a few more won't make a difference, will they? On one hand, they won't, but on the other, of course they will, since you can't really write Greek without them. The first letter today is a consonant, ni. Yes, pronounced just like the knee on your leg. Its sound in Greek is and its shape will seem very familiar. Notice something a little off? Let's first look at the uppercase ni. It is handwritten like this, ni. And this is what the lowercase ni looks like. It is handwritten like this, ni. So what do we notice? The uppercase is identical to the English N, but the lowercase looks exactly like a V. This might prove a bit tricky, but since ni is such a common letter, you'll get used to it in no time. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. And now for something completely different from English. Even though we haven't finished our lessons yet, here's the last letter of the Greek alphabet. Have you heard its name before? It's omega. The sound it makes is O. Yes, just like Omicron. Here is an uppercase omega. It is handwritten like this. Or this. Omega. And this is what the lowercase omega looks like. It is handwritten like this. Omega. As you can see, there is a similarity between the uppercase omega and Omicron when they're handwritten, right? Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Think of omega as a big Omicron. Actually, this is what its name means. Omega, big O, while Omicron means small o. Now let's see what new words we can make. So adding P and Iota, we get something we do every day. That is the verb to drink. In Greek, this is pino, and it's written this way. Pino. There is something in this word which shows why omega is one of the most important letters of the Greek language. It is the ending letter for the dictionary form of verbs. A good example is the verb έχω, to have. Let's write it together. Έχω. 16 letters down, 8 to go. Not bad, huh? Let's put them all together and see what we have. Alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, psi, gamma, epsilon, rho, chi, ni, and omega. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. In our first lesson, we started with the letter alpha, and in this lesson, we learned omega. These are the first and the last letters of the Greek alphabet. In Greek, as in English, saying that something is to alpha και to omega, or the alpha and the omega, means that something is very important. That if you have this, you also have everything in between. So, the alpha and the omega of writing Greek is practice. It's a cliché, but it's true. Do you know what Greece is called in Greek? Many people might think it is, well, Greece. It isn't, and in the next lesson, we will learn how to write it. See you in the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. In the previous 8 lessons, we have covered 16 letters out of the 24 in the Greek alphabet. How do you feel? Strong enough for 2 more? How about for 2 more unique to Greek? Let's get started right away. The first one is unique to the Greek language. Its name is delta, and it sounds like th. Yes, they are quite different from each other. The first is very angular and the other very circular. This is the uppercase delta. It is handwritten like this. Delta. And this is the lowercase delta. It is handwritten like this. Delta. One thing that might help you with the lowercase delta is to think of it as an 8 that's missing something, like you started writing it and lost interest before you finished. It isn't that hard, is it? As for the uppercase, I won't even dignify it with a comment. It's just a triangle. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. We're done with delta. Are you up for the next challenge? Don't get too worried because this next one is even easier. Its sound exists in English and its shape is very close to the delta we just learned. It's lambda, the Greek version of L, and it sounds pretty much like the English L. As you can see, the shape is pretty much the same. It's just that in the lowercase, there is a small line protruding at the top. Let's see them one by one. Here's the uppercase lambda. It is handwritten like this. Lambda. And here's the lowercase lambda. It is handwritten like this. Lambda. Easy, right? Just a triangle missing its base. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Well, there you go. 2 more Greek letters under your belt and still going strong. You've covered 75% of the Greek alphabet. Let's see what we can do with our new letters, shall we? One of the most famous products of Greece is olive oil, which, by the way, is really delicious and also good for your health. Do you know the Greek word for it? It is lavi, and it is written this way. Lavi. Not hard, is it? How about another one? Ελλάδα. This is the Greek word for Greece, what Greek people call their own country. The rest of the world may call us Greece, but if you want to impress your Greek friends, use this. Even better, write it like this. Ελλάδα. Like always, let's see all of our letters together for a little recap, okay? We have alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, psi, gamma, epsilon, rho, chi, ni, omega, delta, and lambda. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. I want to make one more point regarding the pronunciation of delta and gamma. It is very easy to forget the way they are pronounced in Greek and go for their English versions, delta and gamma. Please don't forget that in Greek the sounds are much softer. Oh, and another thing. Have you ever thought why we call the landform at the mouth of a river a delta? Yes, that's right. It's because that formation is a triangle, like the capital delta in Greek. Most people don't know that, so you can use it to impress your friends, especially if you can also write it. And now you can, can't you? Have you ever used software which isn't in its final version? Do you remember what they call this sort of software? The answer is a Greek letter, which you'll learn in the very next lesson. See you in the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. You've made it to the 10th lesson. Are you excited? I certainly am. So I won't say more, but we'll go directly to our 2 new letters. One more consonant and the last vowel. The consonant will look familiar since it appears both as a sound and as a shape in the English alphabet. Its name is Theta. In English, it is commonly called beta, but in fact, this letter has a V sound. Don't get confused because it looks like the English alphabet B. As you can see, there is a striking similarity between the uppercase and lowercase versions. Their shape won't be too hard, so just be careful about the sound. This is the uppercase Vita. It is handwritten like this. Vita. And this is the lowercase Vita. It is handwritten like this. Vita. Like other letters we have seen, the lowercase Vita is written closer to the line and its vertical line extends below it. Easy, isn't it? Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Got it? Good. Let's go to our next letter. Like I said before, this is the last vowel. And it's an easy one too because, well, you'll see. Its name is Epsilon, often called Upsilon in English, and its sound is, well, E. Yes, one more E to go with the Iota and Eta we already learned. This look familiar, right? The uppercase is an English Y, and the lowercase is pretty much an English U. This is the uppercase Epsilon. It is handwritten like this. Epsilon. And this is the lowercase epsilon. It is handwritten like this. Did you get them right? Maybe because they resemble two English letters, they seem a little confusing, no? Oh well, as they say, practice makes perfect. So let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. 20 letters down and only 4 to go. Isn't that a relief? Let's see what we can do with our new letters. One easy everyday word that uses both of them is vradi, the Greek word for evening. Shall we write this together? Vradi. Not that hard, right? How about something else? This word is diavasi, the Greek word for street crossing, and it's written like this. Diavasi. Did you try them? Good. Now let's do our usual recap, shall we? The letters we've learned so far are alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, psi, gamma, epsilon, rho, chi, ni, omega, delta, lambda, theta, and epsilon. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. As I mentioned in the previous lesson, when a letter is exactly the same shape as an English letter, please be careful not to confuse the sounds. Vita is such a case. It's very easy to slip towards beta, a word that came into the English vocabulary through the university system and continues to be very common in college fraternities. I know it's hard for these organizations to change their names after all these years, but you know better, don't you? Did you know there is a Greek letter which, if turned on its side, becomes another Greek letter? These letters are both unique to the Greek alphabet, so check out our next lesson and see how they look. See you in the next Alphabito Medes lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alphabito. Welcome to the 11th lesson for our Greek writing series. You'll be happy to hear that we're almost done with the Greek alphabet. Actually, we will be finished with new letters in the next lesson, but we have 3 more lessons dealing with punctuation, accents, and double letters. Don't let that worry you though. If you have been practicing what we have seen until now, it's almost certain you will make it through them very easily. So let's learn 2 more consonants in this lesson. Our first letter is Theta, often called Theta in English. Its sound is th, as in thorough. As you can see, there is a striking similarity between uppercase and lowercase. This is the uppercase Theta. It is handwritten like this. Theta, and this is the lowercase theta. It is handwritten like this. Theta. So they're both circles with a line in the middle. You can write the lowercase pretty much like the uppercase, just a little more narrow. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And this is the lowercase theta. I'm sure this wasn't too hard now, was it? There are many words in the Greek language that use theta, so you'll get used to it in no time. Now let's see our next letter, another unique consonant called phi. The sound is f, and it looks like this. It looks like a theta turned on its side, doesn't it? Be sure to notice the ends of the line protruding from the top and the bottom though. This is the uppercase phi. It is handwritten like this. Phi. And this is the lowercase phi. It is handwritten like this. Phi. The sound is not going to be a problem since it's the same as the English F, so you can concentrate on the writing. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Phi and theta are a little hard to combine, so for our words in this lesson, we will employ some of the letters we have learned already. Luckily, now we have lots to choose from. The first word is something we use every day and which is particularly interesting in Greece. Tasty also. Yes, we are talking about food, and the Greek word for it is phagito. Let's write it together. Phagito. Got it? It isn't a big word, but it's something you'll hear many times in Greek, so it's good to already know it. Do you feel confident with your phi? Do you think we could try something a little more ambitious? How about a word with both phi and theta? One very common word is ftinos, meaning cheap. Let's write it. Ftinos. So let's recap. So far we have learned 22 letters. Alpha, Mi, Taf, Iota, Kappa, Omicron, Pi, Sigma, Eta, Psi, Gamma, Epsilon, Rho, Chi, Ni, Omega, Delta, Lambda, Beta, Epsilon, Theta, and Phi. If you're still hanging in there, great job! You've almost learned them all. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. You've got 22 Greek letters floating around in your brain. At this point, it is very important to single out which ones are easily confused and come up with a trick to remember them. Try to associate them with the Greek words we learned using them, and if possible, an English word that might relate to them. For example, this lesson's phagito can be combined with the English word food. They start with the same sound, so by overpronouncing the initial phi sound, you can mentally connect the words and the letters. Try it and see if it helps. So what are the last two letters going to be? Don't you want to complete your set and also learn how to write an important word like life? Check out the next lesson and complete your collection. See you there! Ya χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. Now this is a reason to celebrate. In this lesson, we finished with the Greek alphabet. While you were practicing letters 2 by 2, we managed to cover the entire Greek alphabet, one of the oldest writing systems on this planet. Do you remember all of them? If you feel confident, let's move on to your second to last letter. This letter is called Zeta, but it is sometimes called Zeta in English. The sound Zeta makes is, as you'd expect, a Z sound. And as for looks, there's a striking resemblance to the last letter of the English alphabet. At first glance, the lowercase zeta looks a lot different from the uppercase. But is it really? This is the uppercase zeta. It is handwritten like this. Zeta. And this is the lowercase zeta. It is handwritten like this. Zeta. They are quite similar, I think. So pay attention to the differences. It's very important to use curved lines in the lowercase version. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. So let's go to our last letter, literally. This is also unique to Greek, appearance-wise, but you'll recognize the sound. In English, it is often called psi, but its name is xi. It sounds like x and looks like this. It looks strange, but the uppercase is just 3 parallel lines. As for the lowercase, it's like trying to write these 3 lines in one stroke. Let's try it. Here's the uppercase xi. It is handwritten like this. Xi. And this is what the lowercase xi looks like. It is handwritten like this. Xi. Again, I don't think xi will be a problem because you already know the sound from the English X. So focus on the writing and see if you can make it as smooth as possible. One pitfall is confusing the lowercase zeta with the lowercase xi. But I think there is a clear difference, isn't there? Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. There you go! Now you know all the letters! Let's reinforce with some sample words. The first word today is zoe, meaning life. An important word, don't you think? Let's write it. Zoe. As for xi, an easy word that begins with it is xilo, meaning wood. It also means a beating, as in the phrase έφαγα ξύλο, I got beaten up. Shall we write it together? Xylo. It's time for our final recap. This time, though, I will put the letters in the order they appear in the Greek alphabet. Please remember them in this order. Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mi, Ni, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Taf, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, and Omega. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. So, we've finished with the alphabet, but there's still more to learn. As you might have noticed, there are some sounds which haven't been covered yet, and which are formed by combining some of the letters you already know. It might sound complicated, but it isn't. Also, I'll tell you a couple of things about punctuation and accents. Until our next lesson, please practice the alphabet as a whole in the order I taught you in this lesson, in both uppercase and lowercase. But be careful not to forget the ending sigma. Do you want to see what these combined letters look like? You'll have to check the next lesson for the first set of those combinations, so check it out as soon as possible. See you in the next Alphabito Medes lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. You should be feeling pretty confident with your Greek now. You have learned all the letters of the Greek alphabet in uppercase and lowercase, so writing Greek isn't a problem anymore, is it? But what about reading? If you've tried it, you probably have noticed that there are still some things you haven't learned yet. Over the next 3 lessons, you'll put the finishing touches on your Greek alphabet knowledge. This lesson's topic will be special letter combinations. There are a few combinations which have a different sound together than they have separately. For example, even though there are 3 ways to write the sound E, Eta, Iota, and Epsilon, you can also write the same sound with a combination of letters. If you combine Epsilon and Iota, or Omicron and Iota, they also make an E sound. Take a look at this word. If you sound out the first two letters, you get E, but actually you would pronounce the whole combination simply as E. The word isodos uses this combination and means entrance. Let's write it together. Isodos. Another combination is Omicron-Iota. Put them together and Omicron stops being O and becomes E. This is a really important combination because most Greek masculine nouns end in this Omicron-Iota combination in their nominative plural form. It's also the article for that same form. Anthropos means man, as in mankind or human being. Its singular form is oanthropos, but the plural form becomes ianthropy. Let's write this together. Oanthropos. Ianthropy. In these two examples, it's like one vowel sound overrides the other. But there are also combinations in which two vowels create a completely different sound. Remember how alpha makes an A sound, but if you combine it with iota, an E sound, the end result is an E sound. This might take some practice, so let's look at some examples. A very common word using this combination is ime, meaning am, as in I am. So if you want to write I am a student in Greek, the sentence is είμαι μαθητής, and the S sound in είμαι is written with this combination. Είμαι μαθητής. When you were learning the basic alphabet, you might have wondered if there is an U sound in Greek. Well, there is, but you need to make it with two letters instead of one. In this case, it is Omicron combined with Epsilon. The most common example is ouzo, the famous Greek drink. It is written like this, and for the U sound we use Omicron Epsilon. Let's write this too. Ouzo. You've learned 4 vowel combinations so far, so let's see 4 combinations which create consonant sounds, and then we will be done, I promise. These ones are even a little easier, I think. If you take alpha and epsilon, it becomes av. Even though there is a V sound in Greek, vita, for historical reasons some words use alpha epsilon to make this sound instead. One such word is avyi, which is Greek for dawn. Let's see how it is written. Avyi. Now for something really tricky. On some occasions, this exact same combination, alpha epsilon, is not read av, but af. I know it's a little strange, but it is in many very common words. For example, the word αυτοκίνητο, which means car, is said with an af sound, not an av sound. Αυτοκίνητο. 2 more and we are done. These are very similar to the last 2. Just like how alpha epsilon makes either av or af, the same sort of thing happens with epsilon epsilon. It can be read ev or f. For example, 2 very good words in Greek are evgenikos, meaning polite, and ευχαριστώ, meaning thank you. These two both start from the epsilon-epsilon combination, but the first makes an ev sound and the second makes an f sound. Ευγενικός. Ευχαριστώ. So let's recap. Besides the 24 letters of the Greek alphabet, there are also some double vowel combinations which exist because of historical reasons. These combinations are Omicron and Iota, sounds like E, οι άνθρωποι. Epsilon and Iota, also sounds like E, είσοδος. Omicron and Epsilon, sounds like U, ouzo. Alpha and Iota, sounds like είμαι. Alpha and Epsilon sometimes sounds like αυγή, and sometimes sounds like αυτοκίνητο. Epsilon and Epsilon sometimes sounds like ευγενικός, and sometimes sounds like ευχαριστώ. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. While this is not a grammar lesson, here's something that might help you better understand Greek, and remember at least one of those combinations. The combination epsilon-epsilon, which makes an ev or f sound, actually means good in ancient Greek. This means that almost all words starting with this combination are good things. The words ευγενικός and ευχαριστώ we wrote here are such words. When you come across a Greek text, see if you can spot other such words and check their meanings. I think this is going to help you remember them more easily. That's it for this lesson. In our next lesson, we will look at the last sounds that are formed by consonant combinations. There are only 6 combinations for 5 sounds, so they won't be a problem either. See you in the next Alphabet Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabet Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. Here we are again with another exotic side of the Greek writing system. But before we look at what is new for today, let me do a very brief recap of what we have learned so far. First of all, the Greek alphabet itself is 24 letters, some familiar from the English alphabet and some unique. Do you remember them? Let's go through them once more. Alpha, Theta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mi, Ni, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Taf, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, and Omega. Besides those, we have also learned some double vowel combinations. We introduced them in our last lesson. These were Omicron Iota, sounds like E, Epsilon Iota, also sounds like E, Omicron Epsilon, sounds like U, Alpha Epsilon, sounds like Av or Av, and Epsilon Epsilon, that sounds like Ev or F. Do you feel confident about all of this information? Good, because today we will take a look into some double consonant combinations to fill in any sounds missing from your collection. Our first sound, a very common sound in English, is G, as in good. There are 2 ways to write this using the Greek alphabet, both involving the letter gamma. You can either double gamma or you can add a kappa next to it. They both make a G sound. 2 examples, one for each of these combinations, are angelos, meaning angel, and anangi, meaning need. The noun, not the verb. Let's write them together. Angelos. Anangi. You may be wondering when we should write a g sound as gamma gamma and when as gamma kappa. And the answer would be the dreaded depends. There is no real set rule about that, so you just have to learn the spelling of each word as it is. But that's no different from English, right? Our second sound, also very common in English and other languages, is the b sound. For this one, Greek uses a combination of mi and p, like in the word bukali, meaning bottle. Did you notice the u double vowel sound we learned in the last lesson? Bukali. How about the d sound, as in deer? Is there a way to write this in Greek? Of course there is. In modern Greek, the d sound comes from putting together ni and taf. A very common ingredient used in Greek cuisine is domata, which, as you might have guessed, means tomato, and is written like this. Tomata. Two more and we are through. The next sound is ts, as in tsunami. There are many words using this sound, and to form it, we use a combination of taf and sigma. Since we were talking about tomata before, a good sample word is pastitsio, a very tasty Greek pasta dish. How do we write it? Pastitsio. There is one more reason I picked pastitsio. It is a very good exercise because it also contains the taf-sigma combination in reverse. In this case, sigma and taf are read as they are, so you have the chance to notice how they change when you put them in a different order. Sigma, taf, is st, as in standard, but taf, sigma is ts, as in tsunami. Got it? Last one, and that will be it for this lesson. It is the TZ sound, z. For this, we also use taf, but this time combined with zeta. This may be a new sound for English speakers, but you can hear it in the word zaki, meaning fireplace. Let's write it together, shall we? Zaki. That's it. Too much? If it feels like that, just keep practicing. If you've come this far, I don't think you'll have much trouble with these. But just to be on the safe side, let's repeat them once again. Ready? Okay. Gamma gamma sounds like g. Angelos. Gamma kappa also sounds like g. Anangi. Mi pi sounds like b. Bukali. Ni taf sounds like t. Tomata. Taf sigma sounds like t. Pastitsio. And taf zeta sounds like z. Zaki. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. Even though these sounds are an integral part of the modern Greek language, sometimes ni taf sounds more like nd instead of d. Mi pi sounds like mb instead of b. And gamma gamma as well as gamma kappa sound like ng instead of g. Keep that in mind while reading and writing, and your Greek will become much more natural. Tired? Maybe a little, I guess, but you can finish this lesson knowing that you've gone through all the sounds in the Greek language, and that's no small feat, so pat yourself on the back. So what else is there to learn? You're almost there, but there are just a few more notes on punctuation in Greek. Do you know the weird thing about question marks in Greek? Check the next lesson and find out. See you in the next Alphabet Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά! everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. This is our last lesson, and I can't stress enough how proud I am of you. Just 14 lessons ago, you may have never seen Greek writing in your life, but now you know almost all there is about one of the oldest languages in the world. This lesson is a little bit different than the previous ones. There will be no new characters or sounds. We're done with all that. Instead, we'll be looking into another very important part of writing, punctuation. Yes, most people don't think of punctuation as writing, but sure enough, if you don't know at least the basic punctuation marks of a language, you can't write it properly. So let's start by talking about the accent marks in the Greek language. There used to be many different kinds, but in the early 1980s, there was a big overhaul and only one accent survived. Up until now, we've written all the sample words without accent marks, so you could focus more on the actual characters. But I think that now is a good time to review some of the words we have learned already and see them with their correct accent marks. Do these words look familiar? You have seen them before, but without the accent mark. I hope you don't get intimidated by this new mark because it's really quite simple. Here's the only thing you have to remember. You put it above the letter that you want to stress. And that is it. Easy, huh? It's actually not something new to remember, but a way to help you correctly pronounce the word. Listen to all of these words and pay attention to intonation. Mama, mati, komati, kati, poto, babas, yi, Ελλάδα. There are just two simple rules. First, only vowels get accent marks. And second, one-syllable words, like yi, don't get accented most of the time. As for the accent shape, it's supposed to be a diagonal line from the upper right to the top of the letter. But many people just use a vertical line or a dot. Practically, it doesn't really matter, as long as it is the right syllable that gets accented. What happens with two-letter vowel combinations, you might ask? Well, there are a few rules to remember in order to read them and write them properly. First, I should mention that the double vowel combinations are not always pronounced as we learned. Sometimes we need to pronounce them separately, with each letter's original sound. In this case, we use a special mark called διαλυτικά. It roughly translates as separators. In English, it is called diaeresis. When we need to use this mark, we will always place it over the second letter, and it can also be used in combination with a normal accent mark, if the second letter of the combination is also accented. Let me show you some examples of all possibilities you can have with double vowels to make things clearer. If a two-vowel combination must be pronounced as a set that is not accented, then no mark should be placed on any of the letters. For example, πρέπει, meaning must, as in it must. If a two-vowel combination must be pronounced as a set that is accented, then the accent mark will always go to the second letter. For example, είσοδος. If the letters of a two-vowel combination must be pronounced separately, but none of them gets the accent, then we need to use a special mark I mentioned before. For example, χαϊδεύω, meaning to caress. Remember, that mark will always go on top of the second letter of the double vowel combination. If the letters of a two-vowel combination must be pronounced separately and the accent goes at the first letter, then simply an accent mark is placed on that letter. For example, άυπνος, meaning sleepless. If the letters of a two-vowel combination must be pronounced separately, but the accent goes at the second letter, then we need to use διαλυτικά and the normal accent together. For example, Roidis, a famous Greek writer. What about other kinds of punctuation? Well, if you know how to use commas and periods in English, you know how to use them in Greek. Here's a sample sentence. Αυτή η τσάντα είναι ακριβή, αλλά είναι καλή. This bag is expensive, but it is good. Period goes at the end. Commas work the same way as English, so nothing new to learn, right? Well, almost. One thing that puzzles many English speakers about Greek punctuation is the question mark. We don't use it. Here's a question in Greek. Θα πας στο σχολείο αύριο? Are you going to school tomorrow? That's right. A question mark or ερωτηματικό is just a semicolon. So what about semicolons in Greek? Well, the Greek version of a semicolon is the anoteliia or upper dot. That is a dot that you write higher than the line over mid-letter height. The usage is the same as an English semicolon. Σήμερα δεν πήγα στο σχολείο. Άργησα να ξυπνήσω. Today, I didn't go to school. I woke up late. The last difference to talk about are Greek quotation marks. We don't use these guys. Our quotation marks look like this. Είπε «Καληνύχτα» και έφυγε. He said good night and he left. I guess this is where I'll have to leave you, but I have one more Stefania's insight for you. It's truly not enough to just watch these videos if you want to get good at Greek writing. Please remember that only with practice will you be able to keep the knowledge in your head. And this is true for Greek learners as well as for Greeks. Even in this age of keyboards, writing something by hand can be a wonderful thing. So try to put in at least 10 minutes of writing practice per day. Even better, try to get a Greek text from a magazine, newspaper, or website and copy it. That way you will improve both your reading and writing skills. Thank you very much for watching this series and great job! But your Greek journey has just begun. You're now ready to focus on Greek grammar and vocabulary and to start building up your language ability. I hope I'll see you again in one of the other great Greek learning series on GreekPod101.com. Γεια χαρά!
Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Greek ebook before it's gone.